Hello, and finally, welcome back to the Doubt Up podcast. As you guys notice, we're one man down, and the studio looks about as good as the Duke's Mayo Bowl trophy. But, Darby,
Disaster.
dude, I mean, this place is a mess. It's tore up. But the move is incoming, and I'm excited that we're actually getting an episode in. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's been too long, man. This COVID bullshit's really screwed up everything for all of us. And
Yeah.
you know, so hopefully we'll be able to get Luke back eventually. But as far as I know right now, it's probably gonna be you and me for a little while, just till we can get our schedules to line up since he doesn't have access to Discord or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, let's get into a little bit of college football, man. I know today, Wisconsin Wake Forest game just happened. Um, Pretty surprising how that went, but we aren't going to get too much into the recaps. Um, of the games coming forward, obviously Oklahoma and Florida play tonight in about 1.5 hours. That game will start. What's your projection for that game? What are you expecting? What are you excited for?
I'm expecting. I'm expecting a shootout, to be honest.
Okay.
I think Oklahoma's gonna bounce back, or after that slow start to this year that they had. But I just don't think that Florida has the firepower now with the opt outs they've had
Yeah.
or the capabilities to even stop Oklahoma. Um, I just feel like that's really turned into Oklahoma. It's either going to be a shootout or Oklahoma's going to absolutely rout them, in my
And
opinion.
that's kind of where I'm at with it, honestly. I think Oklahoma has been playing extremely well here late in the season. Obviously, better than what I expected them to. Um, but it's really the opt outs for me. If Florida was coming in full, like every player coming in and no opt outs, I'd take Florida in a heartbeat just because of how explosive that offense is. Obviously, we saw what their offense was able to do against Bama, and Bama's defense is 100% better than Oklahoma's defense. I don't think anybody would dispute that.
Yeah, and, you can only go with what you saw on the field this year with Florida. Like, I know Florida put up great numbers, and I do feel that if it wasn't for Devontae Smith's second half of the season, that Kyle Trask would be your Heisman winner.
Yeah.
Um, but to me, when it came down to the games that mattered most for Florida or against the top talent of the SEC, they get slammed. So to me, I feel that I think Oklahoma's way too talented. I just
Yeah.
don't see them slowing them down.
No, and I agree. I mean, I think obviously Kyle Trask is probably still going to put up pretty damn good numbers, but I just with that much talent opting out, you have a lot of inexperience coming in against a really talented team. It's going to be fun to watch either way. I'm going to be
I hope so. We tend to talk about these games where we're like, oh, this should be a shootout, and it ends up being a rout.
yeah.
So I'm hoping that this actually lives up to it and that it's going to be a really good and fun game to watch.
I'm
But
excited
there's
to see the
also that
youth.
feeling. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of young talent. A
It's
lot
going
of
to be
young talent.
interesting the youth that Florida has and just what they have coming back. That's really
Well, even
what.
Oklahoma, you should be seeing a lot of young talent.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Spencer Rattler included.
they've been young all year pretty much, but they've actually gotten a little bit more experience, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Their youth has, but so that's obviously one of the big matchups. What is the game that you think is the most intriguing matchup of all of the New Year's Six games?
Most intriguing Peach Bowl, Cincinnati and Georgia.
Okay,
Uh,
I
I think I think that Cincinnati has the capability to hang with Georgia, and also because Georgia's just that team, you don't know what Georgia's going to show up,
yeah. See,
and
mm,
I feel like to me, I think it's going to be a closer game. I don't have Cincinnati winning it. I think Georgia wins that game.
yeah.
As much as I love
Well,
the
Daniels has
Bearcats,
changed the
but
entire complex of that team.
yeah,
Having him at
for sure.
quarterback, if you have him at quarterback from the beginning of the year, that you're, I think they would have won out or at least had the potential to win the SEC this
Hmm.
year. Because I mean, it is a very talented team, but just came out of the wire cooks for Georgia is opting out of that game, or he won't play. I didn't see the reason why. I just got the ESPN notification.
It's either draft or it's more than likely draft related.
That's what I thought.
But I just feel that I'm gonna give some kind of benefit to Cincinnati in being that they are an undefeated team. Um, Luke Fickell is always going to have that team ready to play, and I do doubt Kirby Smart's ability to have his team ready to play.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to, in itself, is going to be enough to at least make this a really good ball game. But my concern is that I feel like Georgia's just too talented overall. I'm still iffy when it comes to the group of 5 teams.
The one that intrigues me the most is not the best teams that are out there, but it's Oregon and Iowa State, because both teams are talented, but both teams have a tendency to let down big time.
That was my other pick.
And that's the one that I think that one has the potential to be really fun to watch.
Who you taking?
Oh man, I think it's rough. I've been going back and forth. This is the only game really I've.
I haven't. I've been dead set on who.
I think Oregon. I'm taking Oregon in it.
I'm taking Iowa State.
Really?
Yep. I don't think Oregon's played enough.
No, I see. That's where I'm torn.
Be...
And I don't think the Pac-12 is that good. And to have 2 losses in the Pac-12 has really been eating at me in this bowl pick'em that I'm in.
It's been a letdown year for them, dude.
It really has.
They're lucky that this season was so short for the Pac-12.
But both of those teams have a tendency to let down. And the opt-outs that I'm actually upset the most about is the North Carolina opt-outs, because I really thought, I think those 2 running backs opting out completely changes that matchup. And
yeah, I have Texas A&M winning.
Now I do as well. I thought North Carolina was going to win that initially with both of them in the lineup, but now A&M is, I think they're too explosive.
No, yeah, because it's too bad we didn't do a show before the North Carolina game with Miami, because I would have been able to tell everybody that, I know everybody talks about Sam Howell, but the real strength of that team is they're running.
Well, we've kind of been on it all year.
Yeah. Well, I know you've been. I mean, you've been leading the horse. That's your favorite dual back before that game ever happened. I mean, you've been saying that since like week 3.
Yeah, that.
And that's the real strength of that team. If they can't run the ball, Sam Howell's not going to be able to carry. I don't see him carrying them.
Now,
and A&M's definitely got the talent to.
Supposedly,
roll up.
Carolina does have pretty solid third string back.
Yeah, but that's a terrible game to have him come into.
I know.
A&M's got a good defense too.
Yeah.
So.
But
unless you're Alabama. Well, then they're just irrelevant anyways to whoever's playing Alabama. So.
But let's get to the games that we're really kind of itching to talk about here.
Okay,
let's start off.
Well, hold on. Let's make this easy. Okay, Alabama, Notre Dame, Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama.
All right, now let's talk to the good game. All right.
Well,
Clemson, Ohio State. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so
we don't need to talk about Alabama, Notre Dame. That's not going to be a game. So let's just move on to Clemson, Ohio State. There's no point.
I am honestly. This may surprise you. I'm not nervous. This is maybe the first postseason with Ohio State that I've gone into with no nervous energy at all, because in reality, what expectation is there for Ohio State to succeed? I haven't seen any, at least from the national media.
We're underdogs this year.
Yeah, we're underdogs. All of the national pundits are thinking that we're going to get our asses kicked. Dabo is out there. He's not focused. His focus seems to be elsewhere. All he's doing is talking about how Ohio State shouldn't even be in the playoff. Even still, up to this week, he's still talking about it. Clemson, what was it? It came out that obviously Clemson's offensive coordinator has COVID or through contact tracing.
Yeah, he's not going to be coaching.
He's not going to be there. But they already came out and said it's okay. The only game he's going to miss is Friday. He'll be back in time for the national championship. They're already putting it out there. So, and Ohio State dropped another hype video today. And I got to give props. I know I'm a homer, but Ohio State's social media team is phenomenal. They're one of the best in the entire country when it comes to the hype videos and putting that stuff together and having quality production value behind it. Oh my god, it makes me want to suit up and just run through a wall. I love it. It was phenomenal. And you
See, that's how I am with the Miami hype videos, except I end up running into the wall and just knocking myself out, at the end of the game.
you but those videos, they give you a little bit of insight just because they take clips from all throughout the year, from camp and the weight room and
The
everything.
behind the scenes stuff
Yeah.
that you don't usually see.
And one thing you can say with Mitch Mariotti and Ryan Day is, damn, do those guys know how to motivate and to take something that happened, such as the loss to Clemson last year, and just keep reminding the players, like, hey, don't fucking forget how this felt. Don't forget. Don't forget this score line. I'm going to keep telling you the score line. Keep telling you how you fell short and how you let that lead slip away from a game that you should have won. And just keep building that fire within each player for Ohio State. I'm excited. I really am. I think Ohio State comes out and I think they win. I think they beat Clemson. And I think it'll be a close scoreline, but I think Ohio State will be um, pretty dominant, or at least control the majority of the game. I think we're, as a dog, and with the type of motivation and fire that this team has behind them, and just what I'm perceiving from Clemson as not really caring, oh, we're undefeated against Ohio State. We don't have to care about them. We're only caring about Bama in the national final. I think that a little bit of oversight or a lack of focus on Clemson's end is going to come into Ohio State's advantage.
Yeah. Um. So I know we talked a little bit last night, um, watching the Miami game, just a little bit about the Clemson Ohio State matchup, and up until today, and it's part of the reason I wanted to squeeze an episode in because I'm just ready to talk about it. But is I kind of had a change of heart today when I really got thinking about it, and
Really?
yeah. So I was all for Clemson in this
Yeah.
game. I feel that Clemson is a more talented team, in my opinion.
Okay.
Just personal opinion. I take Trevor Lawrence over Justin Fields just because of his leadership ability, and that dude does not have bad games.
No.
If it wasn't for Justin Fields' performance against Indiana and Northwestern, you know how I'm extremely high on Justin Fields.
Yes.
But just because of those games, it's taken it down for me a little bit. Um, my problem is I'm a big dude in bad juju. Okay, I'm really big into bad juju. I mean, look, I talked mad shit about North Carolina all year, okay? And then the
Yep.
worst loss, one of the worst losses I've ever watched as a Miami fan came against them. So I'm a really big firm believer in bad juju. And all of this overlooking, this shit talk about how that Ohio State shouldn't be in there, it's 2014 all over again, dude. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
here we go.
And
Hi, Delilah.
we're back in the
Hold on. Say hi to Delilah in the background.
we're
Um,
back in the Sugar Bowl wearing the gray sleeves and the white threads, dude. Oh,
it to me I feel that Ohio State's introduction, hopefully that carries on, is the introduction of the run game, and if that can stay, and if Ryan Day can quit pulling the trigger on the pass game and let Ohio State establish a run through their running backs, not Justin Fields,
yeah.
that's a dynamic I think that isn't being talked about. And also, good news for Ohio State is Chris Olave spotted in practice.
Yeah.
So it's
Now,
looking like he should be back. And that's a huge, huge deal.
a couple of tidbits to add on there. One is just a funny one that I saw on Twitter today. Ohio State fan said if Trey Sermon shows up to the Sugar Bowl wearing a crop top, he's going to lose his shit. And just
Right.
paying homage to Zeke, of course. And the second was Garrett Wilson has a bunch of Buckeye fans freaking the fuck out because Ohio State posted the game or the travel shoes, the LeBron shoes that all the players are getting for the travel for the trip, and Garrett Wilson put a crying emoji on it, and then CJ actually replied to that with a sad face. And people are taking it one of two ways. Either one, Garrett Wilson's not making the trip, or two, he just thinks the shoes are ugly. But it's one of those things that, you know, drives a fan crazy, because that's a key player. That's our number 2 wideout, and you see how hard it was for him to perform without Olave opposite him. He wasn't able to produce like he normally is. Olave really allows him the space to thrive and do what he does well, but it's the opposite now, because Olave is back, but now you're losing a really dynamic playmaker in Wilson if he doesn't travel. But that's just another little tidbit to kind of soak in as all of this information is coming in the lead up of the game.
Yeah, and you know, I think that what this game's really going to come down to is if Ohio State's defense shows up
Yeah.
more than anything. Um,
Now,
you know,
the
I
one
think
unit,
the biggest.
the
Yeah, go
one
ahead.
unit I have no worries about at all is our linebackers. I think our linebackers are going to come back ready to play. Hopefully, Baron Browning is back, and I hope to God they let Justin Hilliard play. Put him on the field and let that boy fly around.
You know, the one thing that concerns me, and I never thought I'd say it when it comes to Ohio State, especially in recent years, is I don't know about Ohio State's edge rush, because the edge rush
Yeah.
in past years could take over games, and I don't feel that confidence, especially going into, gosh, going into against Clemson, that they're going to be able to be an X factor. I mean,
See,
honestly, I think the biggest X factor for Ohio State, um, that's going to take over the game, and I'm calling it now. I think Haskell Garrett's going to take over this game
that's what
because
I was getting ready
he's
to
been
say.
that silent workhorse all year,
Um,
but he's not an edge rusher.
the
He's
the
your
edge rush
interior guy.
the edge rush hasn't taken over games like it has in years past. Obviously, Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, Chase Young. We haven't had that guy, but the edge rush hasn't been invisible either. It hasn't been non-existent.
No, I'm not
Jonathan,
saying it hasn't been
yeah.
non-existent.
So
I'm
it's
just
still
saying
been
that.
it's still been there. It's just not taking over the game worthy. However, the two in the middle are capable of clogging up and wreaking havoc upon
Yeah,
a run game or a pocket. So the thing that I think is the key is we're not going to be able to play the soft zone that we've been playing in the secondary against Trevor Lawrence. He'll pick that apart.
yeah.
That is my biggest concern. I think our DBs can hang and play physical against the wide receivers, but I think if we keep playing that soft zone, we'll get tore up.
But this is also a game where I don't think you want to play man to man either. I don't think that this is the game you want to switch it to man.
No,
I think that
but playing 7 to 10 off the ball is you can't
I
give him
think
that much
that
space.
I think Ohio State can pull some zone, but the thing is Ohio State's got to be willing to do what no other team ever does. It seems, or it seems at least seems to be successful on. You got to bring the blitz, dude.
Yeah.
I got to see some pass rush. I got to see the linebackers getting in, do some disguised safety corner blitzes, get Trevor Lawrence moving, because that is one of his like little knocks, is he can make some poor decisions when he's being rushed, but the problem is getting that rush to him.
The guy to look for on the blitz is going to be Pete Warner. That's going to be the guy that we're going to be sending. So he's the one to keep an eye out for on Friday night. Number 20. I think he should be all over the field, but he is the guy that Kerry Combs is going to be sending on the blitz packages, and I hope to see a lot of them. Because, like you said, we need to get pressure, and just sitting back and letting the front four try to do all the work is not going to be successful.
What's your score prediction? If you could put a score on it, I know you hate putting scores on games,
Yeah.
but that's why I ask you.
This is honestly really kind of difficult one for me to gauge, but I think I would be conservative enough and put down 31-28 for Ohio State. I think it's going to be a tight one the whole way through, but I can't, like I said, this could be a shootout. It could be 40s to high 30s, or it could be a defensive slugfest, which I think is way more unlikely. But I do think that is possible as well. I don't know, man. I think I'd lock in the 31-28 in favor of Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm going high. I think it's going to actually be 38-35 Ohio
Okay.
State, and I'm actually calling. I just want this to happen. A redemption for Justin Fields and Chris Olave, and I think it's going to come into a down three, last drive. Not really final drive, but there's probably gonna be some time left on the clock. But that final score, I think, is gonna be Justin Fields and Chris Olave and
Yeah.
a deep ball. Just that redemption for that, the
Yes.
miscommunication they had last year that cost them the game.
Well, and something that keeps popping up is, at least through a lot of the Ohio State guys and the guys that are more analytical about the game and like to watch the film, is the underutilization of Ruckert, our tight end. He's a good tight end, and on the play that you were just referencing, he was wide open for a first down and could get out of bounds. You had Dobbins open on the field, so it's going to be interesting. I would really like to see the tight ends involved more.
It's funny that I feel like that's been a thing going back to Urban Meyer's time. Is Ohio State doesn't use tight ends.
No, but they come up in the clutch.
No, they do. They make those plays, but they don't use the tight ends
No.
really. You know what I mean? It's a rarity that they use them, which is I feel like that's why they come up in the clutch, is because it's finally that time where they're like, oh hey, there it is.
Yeah, the defense
there.
is like, oh, we don't have to worry about this guy.
I mean,
they never throw to him.
Everyone watches the tape. Everyone knows you're not going to utilize your tight end, so there's that capability there, and I feel like that could possibly be a potential little sneak that Ryan Day could pull. Whether Ryan Day sees it.
Yeah.
I've been kind of questioning him a little bit this year, just on his play calling and decision making, just because
I think everybody.
He's too pass happy. He's too pass happy, and he's trying to make this offense something it's not. I think this offense is way too balanced.
He's the opposite of Rhett Lashley.
Yeah, he's the opposite of Rhett Lashley. Exactly. Yeah, unless you're down, down 21,
and you have to bring in the backup.
Yeah, right. But so let's go ahead and we'll carry it through. Let's talk Bama Ohio State. So we both picked the same going into this game. Let's see. I have a feeling I know where you're going. So I'll get you going.
I'm going 2014 all over again. So there's a trend that I have noticed, and I originally thought it was the same for all three coaches. Well, the previous two at least. But it turns out I was actually wrong. So going historically, Jim Tressel won the national title in his second year. And I thought
Urban Meyer.
I thought he won it in his second year, but I was wrong. It was his third year.
I thought it was his second year. Because
his second year we lost in the Orange Bowl.
Was it really?
Yeah. His first year we were ineligible for postseason.
Yeah.
And we went undefeated.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Because I remember because he almost tied Larry Coker's 24-0 start as a head coach.
So
that's right.
He won it in his third year, but this being Ryan Day's second year, I thought, show history a little bit of love. Show love to good old Jim Tressel for saving the Ohio State program after the John Cooper years. And
give me a score prediction. Do it.
So
give me a score prediction. We can change this if we talk about the national championship before. Which if Ohio State makes it, we're definitely making an episode for it. So
it's give me 42-28.
42-28.
That's obviously.
Well, you think in the spirit of Zeke's gonna live inside Ray Sherman and he's just gonna constantly gash him for 60 over and over and over and over?
Because the thing is
the dagger. What was it? The dagger through Dixie, or what was the?
85 yards through the heart of the South.
That's it.
Obviously that is way overblown. My more realistic prediction would probably be somewhere around where your Clemson prediction is, with the 35 or 38-35 or like a 38-31. Okay. Obviously a closer ball game. But moving ahead, if we were to look forward at an Ohio State Alabama matchup, the one thing that does not concern me is Najee Harris and the Alabama run game, just because I think our front seven is that solid enough to contain that run game. Obviously, the one place that would really concern me is Devontae Smith in the pass game. That it would be the only concern I would have with Alabama.
So I'm taking Alabama. I've had
Naturally, I think they are the more complete team, but I'm going to let my
that's
homerism
where my
show
reasoning
through.
is. Yeah. Well, my reasoning is I know in you're very confident saying on the Najee Harris side. I just feel that you know keeping him held is like allowing him to rush for a little under 100 and not score multiple touchdowns. That's
Yeah,
keeping Najee Harris held.
yeah,
And then, like you said, I have when it comes to that kind of matchup, I have almost zero faith in Ohio State secondary against
yeah.
because I understand you can obviously you can
And
say
I would not, if
Devontae
somebody
Smith,
were to pick Alabama over Ohio State, there's no way in hell I would argue
no,
against that ever.
it'd be another
Alabama,
underdog game.
Alabama is the most complete team in college football right now.
They have been since week 1.
Yeah.
So
So I'm going to let my homerism show in and let my heart play a factor in my prediction there. But I would never argue with somebody if they were to pick Alabama, and I would not be surprised if Alabama won by a 10-point margin.
yeah, I have them actually winning by 9. I have them winning 33-24.
Okay, yeah.
So, I feel like Ohio State's going to get points. It's almost impossible. You're not going to keep Ohio State from getting points.
No.
And but I feel like Alabama's just too. They're just too complete, man. It's hard for me to pick against them. So I want Ohio State too. I remember, dude, watching that 2014 game was so much fun. So
Oh.
I'd love to. Obviously I'll be freaking screaming if that happens. But,
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where now the interesting thing for me is trying not to look too much ahead is with the Notre Dame game. It boggles my mind that when you have everybody is writing off Notre Dame. Notre Dame is like an afterthought at this point. Notre Dame's going to lose. They're 17.5-point dogs. They shouldn't be there, but it's like, okay, if nobody's going to give them a shot in the dark to even compete against Bama, why did they get in? Why not put in A&M and give them a second shot? Because yes, they lost by 28, but we both know how difficult it is to beat the same team twice.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to get back in. I don't want to talk the rabbit hole of the playoff committee. We've talked so much about it.
What's your? Do you think Notre Dame even has a shot in the dark?
No, I don't. I don't think Notre Dame stands a chance. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be your typical Brian Kelly game,
Yeah,
where he just does not show up.
And I agree. That's what really boggles my mind.
And I mean, Alabama would still be favored in this game, even if Notre Dame would have knocked off Clemson in the ACC championship game.
Yeah.
So, just even looking at their performance of getting smacked around by Clemson on that second matchup, it's just I don't see them. They're one dimensional.
Yeah, it's run or bust.
Just like it's 2017 all over again. I said it back in 2017 when the Miami Notre Dame matchup came and everyone was counting Miami out. I said that team can only run the ball, and look what happened.
Yeah.
So this team can only run the ball. If you shut down Kyron Wallace, is that his last name? Williams or Wallace? Something like that.
Williams, I believe.
Williams. Kyron Williams, you're good. So I don't have much thought on that game. I know Notre Dame wants to bitch about everyone counting them off and acting like they're an afterthought, but that's because they are in these types of games. So if you want to change the script, then you got to change it yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm looking through some of these other bowl games trying to find All right, the one thing I think we have to touch on is the fuck happened to Texas in the second half. That young quarterback, I mean, obviously.
So Sam Ehlinger, do you think he'll declare or will he transfer?
I don't
He's
think
still got the year of eligibility.
I
So
don't think anybody will draft him.
no, I mean, he doesn't have the option. I don't think to draft, but players still go to the draft.
Um, honestly, I think his best chance would be going to another school that is obviously in need of a quarterback, but has some firepower behind it. I don't. I don't
And
know.
he'll have interest in the transfer portal.
Yeah, 100%.
Someone will take him. Someone big will take him.
Simply because of the experience.
Well, and the numbers. I mean, his stats are
The,
actually pretty damn good if you overlook his interceptions and his turnover rate.
my only issue with him is I think he is a running back that goes under center sometimes. That's my opinion of him. I don't think
I'm not too high on him. So
no, but the young quarterback
to the choir over here.
after the recruiting cycle that Texas had and all of the flack that Tom Herman is getting, I'm wondering if obviously I have a history of overdoing my reactions with first time appearances for young quarterbacks. I did it with Graham Mertz in his first game where he only had one incompletion, and I thought he was going to be phenomenal and carry Wisconsin to a Big Ten
like
West.
he was the second coming of Jesus.
I thought he was really impressive. I'm excited to see what this. I don't even know the kid's name actually.
What, the running back from there?
No, the
Or the
quarterback.
'cause I thought the running back was what really stole the show to me.
Oh, the running back
Robinson.
is Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
Casey Thompson was the quarterback. Let's see what year. He is a sophomore. So he went 12 of 17 for 225 yards, 70% on his passes, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked once. I mean, shit. That's pretty good stats. Now, granted, Colorado did not look good at all. But still, that's an impressive first performance for a bowl game. I'm excited to see what he can do because Bijan is going to be coming back, so you know you're going to have a solid run game coming back. And from what I could tell, it looked like most of Texas's impact players on defense were pretty young as well. So I'm not going to say they're back by any means of the imagination, but I think there's potential to save Tom Herman's job there.
I mean, there's always potential when you play in the Big 12. So
True.
Any team can rise up. Ask Iowa State. Any team can.
Yeah.
Texas sure as hell can. So
I mean, if a team like Iowa State can come back and get a New Year's Six bowl after the start to the season that they had and playing a Big 12 schedule, then you're right. Texas can 100% respond and do the same. But I want to get your take. I know you've had a day to sit on it. What was your take of last night, Miami?
Well, we lost. What was it? What was the final score?
It was
37-34 or 34-31?
37-34.
37-34. The referees won. Nothing. I'm not gonna try to leave the officiating aside.
Yeah,
but
it's difficult to
even
do.
though I do think it was a crucial factor in this game. But
it played
more
an
than
impact.
anything, it did. But losing Derek King, I think that really hurt us up to when he came back onto the sideline, because if you did, there was a huge correlation as to
the energy,
how we were performing before he came, or when he went into that locker room, and then when he came out and was on the sideline, it was like a complete energy change. And then that's where we started playing a lot better. And props to N'Kosi Perry, man. You were next to me. I was not wanting him to come in. Well, let me put it this way: of all the quarterbacks on the bench, he's who I would have wanted to come in because of his experience, and he's come back and led us in multiple games. That's the scenario you want N'Kosi Perry as your quarterback. Is he has this thing about comebacks and playing
he's your
really good.
Fitzmagic.
You just don't want to name him as your starter.
He's your Fitzpatrick, your Fitzception.
Yeah, it's weird, man. But so props to him. The dude's been loyal. So just a quick hit on him. He said that he's not even thinking about transferring right now. He's too focused on Miami. I would expect him to transfer. I think it's in his best interest with King coming back. I know it's been in the freaking Miami chatter. oh, N'Kosi Perry, maybe we should start him next year. No, we've already tried that.
Yeah.
He needs to move on, go somewhere else, and it's not his fault.
Miami will still root for him with how
Yes,
loyal he has been.
no, and there's no ill wishes towards him.
You
I
just
think
want to see the best for the kid.
everybody either wants him to start or transfer out and go get a starting job somewhere, and he could be a Power 5 starter somewhere else. Let him go and hopefully make a name for
I mean,
himself somewhere.
you.
I just feel like he's not better. He's not better than King. I know he's made some throws in that game. Yeah, he made some better throws. My problem is I've seen too much of him, man. He's been here for 3 years,
Yeah.
and he does that. He'll look amazing in some games, and then the next game he'll throw you 3 interceptions and barely do anything and fumble the ball, and you're just
Look like
it,
Fields did against Indiana.
and I don't think it's his fault. I mean, he's gone through 3 offensive coordinators, 3 quarterback coaches. It's no fault to him.
He
But
has he has potential. I mean, you said it. He threw some absolute dimes last night. He has the arm talent. He has the mobility. He has the body build that people look
yeah,
for. I think he has a lot of potential. But obviously, like you said, it's always come down to his decision making.
yeah,
Now,
and like, and then also his other thing is he gets flustered. So like you saw, like what I saw in that game was right at the end, that final drive, he kind of looked a little bit different. He looked more nervy. Now, granted, we could have kept that game going if Brevin Jordan didn't drop a pass, and then obviously we don't. I'll get to the other dudes later, but
that's what
you
I'm
know,
waiting for.
if he seemed squirrely like like he tends to do, and you could tell he gets that wide eye like you know what I mean. It starts to become bigger than
What he can handle.
yeah. So he needs to go somewhere else. I just feel like I know he did a great job, and people think yeah because he made a couple throws in that game that Derek King couldn't. I feel like they overlooked the fact that Derek King can take over a freaking ball game,
Yeah.
and he's just too explosive of a player overall. But I do now. There's a caveat to that. I would like to see us Derek King coming back and Rhett Lashley carry how he was running this offense with N'Kosi Perry into next year because I feel like if we did that, I mean, we could be if we could average 30 points with this read option based offense we ran. If we switched it around and did that pass based screens, you know,
Yeah.
I feel oh man, and with the young talent we got coming in next year,
And that's where I
wow.
really my focus is kind of going to be in the off season is one, does Harley come back?
Mm-hmm.
Two, who's the next wide receivers? Because Pope and what's his number 8 ain't it?
No, so I guess I'll hit this now. I was gonna wait, but
It,
Miami's hitting the portal, dude.
if you want my personal opinion, the refs definitely played an impact on that game. But what killed Miami the most
The
was the
drops.
4 drops by Pope. I mean, those are deep balls. Those are momentum, huge momentum plays
Yeah,
that
I mean,
result in points
yeah,
at least.
Pope had the 2 real crucial ones of the 4 that he dropped overall. He had the 2 crucial deep ones, and then Wiggins, who I'll give him now the one deep drop he had, he should have caught. But granted, I'll give him a benefit of the doubt just on the contested factor.
Yeah,
I'll try to give him some slack. But his dropped screen that had literally nobody in
that
between
was
him that would have
6.
put us up, that should have been a touchdown
Yeah,
if he would just haul it in. And you know, oh man, Miami's fan base drives me nuts. So to see them put this on the coaches, to me, I don't agree with
no,
because that's shit that they should that's shit that they shouldn't be coaching in college anyways. That's shit that these wide receivers should have learned in Pop Warner all the way through high school, how to fucking catch a ball. Okay, when it comes to that,
it's a
that's
skill you
on
should
that.
always be working on. But yes,
Okay, a skill you should always be working on. But when it comes to like that right there, that screen, all, it's just catch the ball and go. It's 6.
yeah,
To me, there's no excuse on that one to me, and I feel like the problem also with this defense with the slow starts
the
that they've had
tackling.
and well so wrapping up missed tackling, terrible pursuit angles, giving up. To me, I feel like where Miami still has an issue is it's a lack of effort.
Yeah,
This team has an extreme lack of effort, and I feel like if we had these players that are coming in that have this energy. Now the younger guys, I wish we would have seen them a little bit more. Like my enigma to me was the fact that Keyshawn Smith had that almost touchdown where he almost got his feet down
Yep.
and then he never saw him again. He made what would have been
Yeah.
the best catch of the game,
Yeah.
and we never saw him again.
Yeah.
Like, so that's where I'm like, that's where the coaching is to me, where it's you've
Well,
got to at some point. I know you don't want to you have a game on the line, and you don't want to put young true freshmen in situations, but at the same time, when years that have been letting us down since they've been on campus and are letting you down in this game, at what point are you just like, all right, we've got to try something?
yeah. Now, the one thing in terms of coaching that I saw consistently throughout the season, and it showed up again last night, is the lack of tackling fundamentals. I mean, you look at one play in particular with DJ Ivy coming in, putting his head down, his arms are tucked, and his shoulder. It looks like he's like, I don't know what the hell.
Dude, as much, and you even got Bubba Bolden on the final touchdown of the game,
Yeah,
where he could have made
a huge play, huge hit,
he
dislodged
he
the
could
ball
have laid the hit. He could have laid a
legally
legal
too.
hit that, and he was in position. He had his stand up, like, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And if you watch it, he misses it. Like, he kind of turns to miss it. He doesn't just take a bad angle on it. He doesn't. I feel like he was afraid he was going to get called for targeting. Honestly, in that
take the
situation,
targeting.
I'd rather take the targeting anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, it's potentially it's the last game of the season.
Yeah,
I don't care. I would have taken the targeting. I mean, not to say that I want to see a dude get fucking hurt, but
that's football.
I'll take a penalty over.
Yeah.
It's like basketball. You got a guy on a fast break, foul him. Don't let him get the easy bucket. You know what I mean? In a game clinching situation. But um, no, and this is where I have the mixed feelings. The fire Blake Baker train is extremely hot right now over the last two games.
Yeah.
I don't know where I sit on it. So,
I know exactly where you sit on it.
I go back and forth on it. My problem is I don't want to fire him if there's not another good, legit option.
You have a legit option.
Well, you have a legit option in Manny Diaz taking over the defense again.
Yeah.
That is a legitimate option. However, I don't know if you want that. I don't know if you want him to actually get back into going into being the defensive coordinator along with the head coach instead of just being squarely focused on being the head coach.
Yeah.
I know that's where he wants to be. Because that's where your powerhouses are.
Yeah.
For the most part, you have the rarities where they're able to run a side of the ball and manage the whole entire team successfully. My thing is I just don't know. So, because this is where I go back and forth on it. I'm mad. I'm upset about all of the scheme in certain areas. However, I do have that understanding of the Baron was really empty outside of a few players this year on defense.
Yeah.
We were lacking extremely at corner. Safety, I thought safety was one of the biggest exceptions. That should have been a better performing group. Linebacker, I mean, we didn't know coming in what our linebackers are going to look like, losing all but one starter. In which that one starter was somebody that we had a question mark anyways, and he ended up being bad.
My concerns aren't necessarily with some of the scheme that was ran. My concern falls in the groups of fundamentals, like the tackling, shit like that. But the fact that you and I could watch a player that is phenomenal and then slowly watch that player regress
Bubba Bolden
over the course of a season.
He regressed hard too, man.
That is the biggest concern. Because that player's not getting developed. He's actively regressing. He is getting worse.
You got to think, too, because if you look at it now, say Bubba Bolden left, you're probably looking at if he's lucky, a late fourth-round draft pick. Just if they want to go off of what they saw earlier in the year and overlook, what he did.
Yeah.
He's an early fourth-rounder at best,
but
to be honest.
I think he would be he would be one of those gem picks where if he fell into the right defensive, like the right franchise with a solid defensive coach that could develop him
I
again.
agree.
Like I think Arizona would be a perfect place for him.
or just a team that develops that develops that position group.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I know I'm a Steeler fan, but Pittsburgh always does good at developing safeties. He'd be a good fit there, but I feel that what's best for him would be to stay in, you know, which I think he will because he didn't, based off tweets he didn't seem happy at all with how that game turned out. Brevin Jordan as well, based off what he was tweeting, I think he's coming back.
That'd
Um,
be huge.
but you got to think. So you think right now, at best, he's maybe a late fourth rounder into that fifth and sixth round range. And you got to think, what? Look back at before the Clemson game, dude.
Yeah.
This dude was projected as a first rounder,
Yeah.
like a deadlock best. I mean, you got to remember like Kirk Herbstreit and all them saying this is the best safety in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the Clemson game, which he put up a great performance in, that's when he broke his or not, didn't break his nose, but he had the big gash on his nose
Yeah.
and was screaming at the dudes, and he was like the only one really hustling on defense outside of Jalen Phillips. And you know, I just I don't understand it. I don't. Safety's always been a strong group for us, and especially under Manny Diaz. I mean, it's been weird, man. This defense has always been solid under Manny Diaz, and of course we're going through a scheme change. Blake Baker runs a 4-2-5. Manny Diaz ran an attacking 4-3,
Yeah.
which I think has a big deal to do with it because I mean I was saying it literally since our first game that I didn't like that we weren't attacking at all. We were just playing that soft zone and just letting them pick us
No
apart
blitzes.
with linebackers that don't know how to read offenses or know how to make adjustments or know how to take pursuit angles or know how to tackle or know how to do anything.
Yeah.
And it ate us alive because the one thing our linebackers are good at or we're good at were on blitzes. Zach McCloud was a decent blitzer. Bradley Jennings was a good blitzer.
Well, he's actually the one player that I was kind of impressed with last night. I
Oh,
think
last
he
night I was impressed with
I
Bradley
think
Jennings
he
through the
played a
season.
great game last night.
Through the so last night, yeah, he looked good, but throughout the season he's looked
Yes.
lost in the sauce. So I don't know. That position group needs to be completely opened up, and they just need to let everybody ball out. Whoever comes in, true freshmen. We got a couple true freshman linebackers coming in, or strikers as well, and we'll see what happens. But so when you were talking about wide receivers, um, and going into next year,
Yeah.
Harley, if he comes back, that's wide receiver one.
Yes. Absolutely.
Um, and I will feel a little bit better. But if he leaves, that means you're looking at D. Wiggins and Mark Pope, and then a bunch of freshmen. Literally a bunch of redshirt freshmen. Well, actually, they'd still be true freshmen.
If he
And
declares, you better be praying to God Brevin comes back.
yeah, and so actually, fun little nugget. So I believe it was yesterday. Montana's standout wide receiver. He's the top FCS wide receiver in the country.
Okay.
He announced he was entering the portal, and he's the top wide receiver target in the portal right now. And he officially confirmed that Miami has made introductory calls as of last night already.
That's
And
big.
his name's Samori Torre, which I thought it was Samurai when I looked at his name. I was like, that's a badass name. But I actually watched his highlight tape, and the dude's legit. And he's a 6'3". I think he's like 220, 219, something around there.
Shit.
So that's what we need is we need bigger receivers. We need to stop getting these little 5'8", 5'9" wide receivers that have nothing but speed and can't catch, and then quit running the deep one-on-one routes with them. That they for some reason these guys are speedsters but can't win,
Yeah.
and then when they do have to make a contested catch, can't win. Um, but so with all that being said, like I really wanted to talk about like my overall for this year since the season's over with.
Yeah.
And we are heading into my outside of watching games. It's my favorite time of the year. I love off season. Um, but if I were to put a grade on this year, and it's taking context into what we were dealing with last year, the atmosphere we were dealing with at the bowl game, our previous bowl game where we got shut out by Louisiana Tech,
Yeah.
um, I would give this year a B minus.
That's the exact same grade I was
Given
thinking.
the situation, because if we're being real, if it wasn't for COVID, you're looking at a one-loss regular season.
Yeah.
Because the only team that beat us on our schedule this year, that was on our original schedule, was North Carolina. So giving that still as a loss, and the rest of that was our only tough game coming into this season outside of Michigan State, if you want to count that.
And that wouldn't have been a game.
In Virginia Tech, but we beat Virginia Tech, so that's settled. So that you're looking at what would have been a one-loss team if we hadn't played Clemson in the regular season,
Yeah.
and a good showing in the bowl game. I understand, we went down 21-0, but if this was a Miami team of the last 3 years, even maybe four, that game would have been an absolute rout.
Yeah.
It would have looked a lot like North Carolina the previous game.
And the thing that I keep going back to is, again, you say if it were a normal year. If it were a normal year, you're playing in the ACC championship game.
True. So we'd be coastal champions,
Yeah.
and also in a normal year, who knows what that offense would have even looked like going in that North Carolina game with giving De'Aaron King and Rhett Lashley an actual offseason to prepare.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people are. There's still the calls for Manny to be fired, and it's heating up again.
I don't understand that.
I don't just. You'll never understand this Miami fan base. I that's why I keep you from it. I'm your buffer.
Yeah.
To keep from actually looking at the madness. It's insane. I can understand the Blake Baker one. Like I said, I bounce back and forth on it because I do want continuity.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep going through these coordinators and shit every year. However, if Manny feels like he can make a hire like a Rhett Lashley, where he knows, okay, this is going to be a big difference coming in. Go get a big name or something where they want to put out the money and get a big name, then I'm for it. But until then, I'm either Manny takes over or Blake stays.
Or you have a third option. Or Blake stays, but he has to go to Manny's scheme.
Well, not even Blake stays because of Manny's scheme. Blake stays and Manny takes over. I don't feel confident in his play calling. So
yeah.
I just don't, but I don't at the same time feel like there's a good enough name outside of Manny Diaz himself to me to be able to fire him and try to break the continuity when he is, running a scheme that technically the personnel don't fit.
Yeah.
So I would like to see him get maybe his personnel in because I am a fan of a 4-2-5, but I'm a fan of a 4-2-5 if you're blitzing.
Yeah.
And I hope he learned because, when we switched to we started attacking Oklahoma State, they couldn't do anything to us for almost 3 quarters after the first quarter.
Yeah.
So, that's what I'd like to see. But overall this year, I'd give it a B-. We went from 6-7, having 2 of the worst losses in program history, to 8-3. A good showing in a bowl game. I'm fine with it, and I'm looking forward to this upcoming year, which we'll be able to have episodes to talk about.
Yeah, and in my opinion, that's the exact same grade I was thinking.
And you got to take the recruiting class into consideration.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at a top 10 recruiting class with the potential of adding 2 more 3-star or 5-star prospects.
It wasn't a bad year. It was a very good building year.
Yeah.
This, obviously, this is what, Manny's second year in the program?
His second year being a head coach.
Yeah. So it was
a head coach period at any job.
It was a good building year. And there's a lot to build on. Obviously, you have leadership, and I mean true leadership and talent coming back in the form of De'Aaron King. Mm-hmm. Who knows who else is going to join him and coming back because of the sour taste that's going to be left in their mouth because of that bowl game. And then you throw on a solid recruiting class on top of it. There's potential. Obviously, it has to be built out, but there's something there.
I think with De'Aaron King coming back and how that bowl game ended, I feel like we're not going to have any more declarations. I think Bubba's coming back. I think Brevin Jordan's coming back. Mike Harley will come back. I don't see any more declarations.
If that happened, that would be
the turning
big.
point. That's the turning point in this program because that's been our problem every year going back to when I was in high school.
I firmly believe if that happens, you guys will probably be ranked in the preseason top 10, top 15.
Yeah, I mean, they won't give us top 10, but I could see top 20, top 15, and I feel like that's right where we should be anyways when it comes to next year.
But, man, I'm not ready for the season to be over.
No, it went by quick, didn't it?
It did. Like, I'm sitting here, I was out to eat with Mom, and I'm sitting there watching the Wisconsin game. I'm like, The college football playoff, the semifinals are happening Friday.
Yeah, in 2 days.
The NFL playoffs start next week. NHL season is getting ready to start, and it's late.
I mean, NBA's rolling.
NBA, like, first off, I don't watch basketball. The only basketball I watch is March Madness. I watch hockey because obviously we have the Blue Jackets here, but
I watch Miami basketball.
college wrestling's all I'm going to have. I'm losing my entertainment here.
Well, hey, but now you're gonna really have to, instead of dipping your toe in the college football offseason, you're gonna have to stick the whole foot in and join me in this
Yeah.
black market of information.
You know, I just put that big toe in there and absorb a little bit of information. I'm not.
I like it, man. I like my recruiting, to start the year, and I like the storylines going into spring and shit like that.
Yeah.
Paying attention and roster management, shit like that. It's my crack. So.
It's going to be an interesting one, man. I am excited for Friday night.
Well, okay. So, all right, because I can sense where this is going. What's got you dialed up outside of Ohio State football?
Man, I can't wait till the 14th.
Moving in.
Yeah, we close on Monday, and obviously that's why the mess is behind me, and the setup had to come down. I got all my mini helmets packed up, but when that man cave is done, it's going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty. That wood paneling going to be on the walls. Mini helmets surrounding the entirety of the basement. 5 TV screens mounted. Oh, it's going to be nice. It's going to be football sanctuary.
We got to get a studio set up too. So.
Well, plans are actively in the works for how I'm going to work that one. So, but yeah, I got a couple ideas for the meantime or short term, and I have plans for the long term for that. So I'm excited, man. What about you? What's got you dialed up?
Literally nothing, because I have nothing going on in the future, dude. Like I just don't have anything going on. So I can't really pick anything. I was excited about having a 3-day weekend coming up, but I found out my dad's making me work New Year's and I work on Saturday, so my 3-day went to a 1-day. So
that blows.
Yeah, so I'm here. I'm dialed. I'm not dialed up. I wanted to let you get your move in.
Man, I can't fucking wait. That's been the longest month of my life. Seriously, it's been brutal. But all right, we'll call it there. This is going to be a YouTube specific video. Haven't figured out how to separate the audio from the video or get the converter for the Spotify upload. So in the future, if you're seeing this on YouTube and you followed us all the way to the end, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment what you think we're stupid, comment on things you think we're right on, and just interact with us.
Which isn't much.
Yeah,
so.
not much. We aren't right on too much.
Hey, we did hit quite a few things this year, but also bit me in the ass later on.
Yeah,
so.
just a little bit,
On one thing.
Yeah.
Give me that.
You did have your Nostradamus pick, but we are the Dialed Up Podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you this week.